about love and all that. And a few days from now, we'll be celebrating Lovers' Day, St. Valentine's Day, and all that. And it's appropriate that we talk about love. In fact, it does seem that it's not just on this period. It should be something that we should continuously talk about because, to be honest, it's the main thing that does really exist. And so I welcome you, and I'm excited. I mean, super excited to be with you. All right, we are looking at a theme: keep the fire of love burning. Keep the fire of love burning. Yeah, you've got to keep it burning. You know, it's because it's life. It's important. Okay. Before I get into that, let me read you something in the scriptures. You know, if you would not mind, Song of Songs or Song of Solomon, depending on the version of the scripture you're using. I'll be reading from verse number 1. I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. As the apple tree among the trees of the wood, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. Wow. His banner over me was love. That's awesome. That's interesting. You know, reading that, you hear someone who is super excited about her love, and she's, man, this person is the fire is burning. You know, one of the ways to keep your love burning is to keep talking about it, and keep talking about your love, and talk to your love, and have your love talk to you and talk about it. And that's exactly what this wonderful, you know, lover was doing. Well, the thing here is, what is love? Well, you need to understand something when we talk about love, or trying to, or attempting to define love. You know, the Greeks have done a whole lot to help us a lot in defining love, and it makes a whole lot of sense. But you see, it is quite difficult to define it with one single sentence, and that's why you find that they categorized it, they classified it, different kinds of categories of love, whether it is agape, or whether it is philia, whether it's eros, and all that kind of stuff. But again, you know, sometime last year I spoke about every one of those definitions are correct, whether eros, whether philia, whether it's agapeo, they're all the same. They're all love. Just that what you call eros is misplacement of thing, you know, when you take it out of context. However, you know, this spark of fire that is in your soul, that burns in your heart, you know, when you talk about love, you talk about this spark, that spark of fire, that spark of passion that burns deep down in your heart, you know, that for someone that causes you to, you know, lean towards that person, lean favorably towards that person, you know, that causes you to be tender-hearted towards that person, that causes you to think positively towards that person, to have good thoughts and all kinds of, you know, just because that spark, okay, you know, it is a spark that starts, and once that happens, and you know, you're there, and you know, very beautiful thing, very beautiful thing. Now the thing about this is that, you know, once that spark starts, okay, which is what we call love, once that spark starts, you know, it can be fanned into flame, it can be fanned to grow, you know, it can also over time, you know, quiet down, over time die down. But the important thing, you know, is that that spark came, and that love, you know, is there. Sometimes it's not something you reason, It's not about, it's something that happens at the depth of your being that influences even how you reason. Okay? And so it's a beautiful thing, difficult to fully, define. In fact, when you look at the scriptures, the Bible said, God is love. Well, that makes love a very difficult thing to really define because, you can't fully define God. It does seem that you fully cannot define love, but well, we understand as it relates to, how we live. Yeah. The question is that spark in you? Do you have a spark for someone? What has happened to that spark? Yeah, I know for some of you will be thinking about something now. When I ask about, do you have the spark? And the spark for someone, is it going down or is it growing? For a young person, a single who has no lover, you probably say, well, this is not for me, because you said keep the fire of love burning. And some other person will say, well, I think this might be for those who are lovers. I'm not part of it. Well, hold on a second before you make that conclusion. You see, you need to understand that love is universal. It is universal in the sense that it cuts across the board. It's for everybody, and everybody's involved in it, And I do think that when we talk about love, it's in everything we do. In fact, to me, love is really life. Love is really life. And why I said so is because I want you to understand that you are part of it, whether you have a lover or not. I want you to understand that. In fact, you do have a lover at all times. The point is, depending on the context upon which you are now, interacting. So based on that, you say, okay, I don't have someone that can say, okay, this is my love, as in the case of a husband and a wife, or relationship that you're trying to build and all that. But you have a parent, you have siblings, you have friends. Without love, it cannot exist. Absolutely cannot exist. Cannot exist. It cannot exist. No friendship can exist without love. No friendship. Whether it is between the opposite sex or the same friends, same sex. In other words, these are your pals, these are your dude, these are your guys. Okay? Now, if there is no love in that, then there's not going to be any relationship. It's not going to exist. And I can assure you, nothing will be there. Nothing will be there. Completely nothing will be there. So basically, it's love that makes relationship to be. It's love that makes relationship to hold, to exist. So that's why I said, before you draw the conclusion and walk away, I said, this is not for me. No. I want you to understand, first of all, that love is a universal thing. Love is life. You've got a parents. Oh no, my dad and mom have died. Well, they loved you before they passed on. If they didn't love you, they probably would have aborted you. They probably would have aborted you. I don't think any woman that loves a baby that is in a womb will abort a child, or him, as the case may be. So, because they love you, they kept you. If you have lost your parents, all right. Or you say, oh no, well, what had happened is that my parents never treated me well. But do you have siblings? Do you guys have cordial relationship? That's love. There's no way it can exist without love. Completely. There's no way it can exist without love. Maybe you have not thought about it that way. Maybe you've not taken time to look deeply into it. And maybe your understanding, or you've been taught, or what you feel love is love you have for a friend, in the sense of a girl or a boy, the opposite sex. No. Or no, You say, okay, okay, but I love my brothers, I love my sisters, I love my siblings. That's love. That's it. You've got it. You have it. That spark is in your soul. It's there. And it's been growing. It may not be the one that you feel so kind of, those kind of feeling that, one lady once told me that love is an indescribable feeling. And true. Sometimes very difficult to describe the feeling that you have. Just that you feel like, I want to be identified with this person. I want to be united. I want to be one. I want to be lost in this person. Now, I use the word lost, L-O-S-T. Lost in this person. I want to have that union. I want to, just be there. That's it. Yeah. But the truth is that you feel great concerning your siblings. You cherish them. If they go away after a while, you miss them. If something hurts them, you feel bad. You go through all of that. You do love them. The reason why you're not feeling that way is the way you think about the relationship you have with your siblings. And we have been taught to feel right. You're going to feel something crazy with your sibling. And that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you also, oh no, okay, I'm the only child. Well, fine. But you've got a friend in school. As I said earlier, no friendship will ever exist without love. So, you see a man and a woman live together in a house as husband and wife. It's only made possible by love. Without love, they can live together. They'll go their separate ways. They walk away. They probably will even fight each other. They might as well even kill the other one. So then, what is love? Well, I said, a spark of this fire, passion in your soul, deep down in your heart, that for someone that drives you towards them. Now, this spark is not just for human race, human beings. It's also there for God. This spark of fire that drives you closer and closer to God is there. I'm not too sure that it is also hatred that draws people to Satan. Because if they really hate him, they won't go close to him. They wouldn't want to do what he wants them to do. So this thing called love is just there. It's life. It's in the core of our existence. It's in the fabric of everything. You know, when you want to think a moment about a picture, I'll give you a picture, an illustration. When you see this picture, this scientists draw about electrons and protons in an atom, you see that circles that they go that way, and I do think that love is that cohesive force that holds them together, that invisible cohesive force that holds them together. That's what love is all about. That's what it takes. Yeah, that's what it is. That holds that proton and electron together, and it keep revolving, that make atom to hold together. Without love, life will disintegrate. Human race will wipe themselves away. It's just love. It's at the core of our existence. It's at the core of the fabric of everything that happens. So the point here I want you to get today as we introduce this, keep the fire of love burning. I wanted to see it's an all-inclusive thing. It is not just for teenagers or young adults who are engaged with an opposite sex in a relationship and all of that. No, that's okay. That's okay. We'll talk about that. We're also talking about only for married couples. Wow, that's a great one to talk about, and we're actually going to talk about it too. But I also wanted to see that even between a parent or parents and their children, it is also It is also there. Because without it, the family will disintegrate. Everybody will go their ways. And some may kill others. Love. Funny enough, as I said, people even go to Satan. And I don't think it's hatred that draws them to him either. Because if they hate Satan, they won't go there. You know, naturally, whatever you hate, you turn away from it. You don't want to go there. So, you see that at the core of existence of human interaction, it is love that makes it possible. Yes, at the core of human interaction, it is love that makes it possible. That love may be tainted. It may have some ulterior motives and all that kind of stuff. Listen, get this. Let me say this. You know, there is no human interaction, one way or the other, that love does not play a role in it. But you see, that love can be colored. It can be tainted. It can be influenced. In other words, what we call ulterior motives and all kinds of things. What happens is that your perception of that person can influence that spark of fire in your soul. In other words, it can cause it to grow. It can cause it to diminish. It can cause it, to diminish and influence how you express that spark that is in your heart. Now, there's something else I should have told you. Do you even know that you love yourself? In fact, the greatest teacher ever lived on the planet Earth, the Lord Jesus once said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Which means without you loving yourself, you truly can't love your neighbor. Because you truly have to understand what love is, love for self, a healthy one. So that you can now have a standard by which you can love the next person. So if you don't even understand love for yourself, what love is, and appreciate yourself, how then do you have a standard for loving the next person? So at the core of human existence, life, interactions, everything is love. And that's why I said, love is life. Before I just went back to talk about this back up a bit and talk about this earlier point I made now. I was talking about human interactions and what colors it, what influences, how you give expression to this spark of fire that is in your heart. And, all of that is determined by your perception. How you perceive the other person that you are interacting with will influence how that spark of life, how that spark of fire, how that spark of love will be expressed. But you see, our team says keep the fire of love burning. In other words, we intend to make sure, or we intend to work hard to help remove those blinders, remove those roadblocks, remove those things that influences people's perception in such a way that it begins to diminish that fire that is in their heart, that is in their soul. Yeah. But you see, how you perceive people, how you perceive the next person is usually based on information. Most times, a lot of things that we do to people is usually not our direct experience with them. What I mean is you didn't meet them, and your own meeting, personal encounter with them determined how you saw them. And even sometimes when we meet with people, our perception of them might also be colored based on our own interpretation. We sometimes are rooted in so many things, in the way we think, the way we look at things, that sometimes may not be exactly the right thing. So, in order to keep the fire burning, you need to have the right perspective of people. Even in a relationship, take for instance as husband and wife, you need to have the right perspective concerning your spouse, your friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. You need to have the right perspective. Even your children need to have the right perspective, and the children need to have the right perspective of their parents. Have you not seen families where kids don't relate well with their dad? They think in their mind he's a wicked man. He's hard, he's mean, he's harsh. Well, maybe their dad did something. Maybe their mom fed them wrong information concerning their dad. Maybe the mom never bothered to talk to them that this is how their dad was. He didn't mean evil or hurt, or but because maybe the man has a street personality and the children interpret it to be wicked and such, and as such they draw away and never think that their father loves them. All of these things could happen even in a family. You know why? Perspective. Perspective. Your perspective is based on how you perceive things, and that comes from the information that you have. That information is also filtered by the way you too also see and process things. Well, how do I have the right perspective concerning people, concerning things, and all of that? Well. Well. Yes. Thank you. Well, that's interesting, Emanuela. Yeah, love can be colored. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, Benedicta, appreciate that. Love can be colored. Yeah. All right, somebody has a question here for me. Say, well, this love for self has been tagged self-love by people of the world. Now the Bible asks that we love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But this self-love sounds selfish. Sounds selfish. Well, I'm trying to get see more of that. Okay. How then can we draw the line between love for self as portrayed by the world and as perceived by God? Well, let me quickly respond to that, Veronica. Please, you must understand that. First of all, understand that love is in the heart of everyone. As I said, it's a spark of fire in the heart of every human being, including criminals. They love themselves, their team. And the leader of that team, loves himself. Otherwise, he will shoot himself. When people get devoid of love, they commit suicide. Because there's nothing. They don't love their life again, to the point where they look at it and say it's a waste. It's amazing when you think about love, because it's totally life. It's at the core of human existence, as I said. Now, but to your question, look at what Jesus said. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. So, what makes love selfish is that it stops at you. It stops with you. That's where it stops. But what makes the love of God is that you don't stop with yourself. You still extend that same love to another person. That's what it takes. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it takes. So that's the difference. So when you talk about the world and the selfish love, what matters to them is it has to be me and me and me. And they don't want another person to have it. So it stops at, or rather with themselves. But the love that the Bible talks about is the love that it does not stop with yourself. It's extended to the next person. The standard being you. That's it. I just hope that had helped you. And then we have, well, someone said, I guess the perception is an instinct thing. Well, that's fine, yeah. But again, instinct, if you say it's an instinct thing, you leave it to something that's nature only. That's true. But remember, you can grow your instincts. You can develop them. And information influences a whole lot of things that we do. Have you not heard about a case where someone said, and you heard about this person, is a bad person, is not good, look at how she does this and that. And eventually you happen to run into that person and have a first-hand experience with that person and listen to the person. After a couple of days of meetings and you guys met and talk, you begin to say, but they talk about something like this about you. That's not right. You're quite different from what they've been saying. You see, what happened is that your former perspective concerning that person was colored by the things that you heard. So information influences our perception. The perception is there as part of the faculties, that things that God gave to us. But then information does. Yeah, so we have wow, that's beautiful. Shamaka Jindo is what? Oh wow, that's beautiful, Shamaka. Nice in you. Veronica. All right, someone has it here. What factors can help or enable one to love oneself? Well, this is, I like to say this, Veronica. This is another Veronica, by the way. I think it's Veronica of 4G. It said, what factors will, can help or enable one to love oneself? Well, there are things that come to us instinctually, as the person had suggested before, naturally. But I can assure you, again, brings us to a place of information. How you are raised could influence you, how you treat you. In other words, if you were abused while growing up, if your parents were abusive, if you had seniors that were abusive, teachers that were abusive, and all kind of stuff. Now, this abuse can be verbal, can be physical, can be sexual, whatever it is. It has a way that can begin to affect how you see yourself. Now, and that may begin to, make you see yourself wrong and in a very colored light. And this is where people have problem with, the self-esteem, self-worth, and all kinds of things. Now, but to love yourself more or better help you, one is to realize first, you are a human being. You're alive. And for that, you need to appreciate yourself for it. Number two, you are a unique creature of God, a masterpiece. The Bible said you're fearfully and wonderfully made. You must realize that there's no two you, never has been any you, and neither will there be any you again. You are just one in this lifetime. When you look at scientists say that this type of comet will cross the earth in the next 3 million years, that it came here, it passed here sometime in the next 5 million light years. Well, that's their own. You are not passing here in the next 5 million light years. You are just one time and will never be seen again. And that's enough for you to, wow yourself and say, wow, man, I should love myself. Secondly, again, you must realize that you are a masterpiece of God. You want so much for God to die for you. Now, first of all, understand that to create you, you are a masterpiece. That in itself is enough. To realize that God had to come and die for you, Jesus, in the person of Jesus, that in itself makes you to appreciate your value and as such love yourself. Again, you can also find, back to the first thing I said about, you're a masterpiece. When you begin to realize the intrinsic worth, your talents, your giftings, your uniqueness, okay, all of those things help you to appreciate yourself and love yourself better. I just guess that will, help you. Yeah. Well, somebody said your nature and nurture affects the way you love. Well, it is always said that that's Nwawuike faith. That's awesome. Your nature and nurture affects the way you love. That's a great stuff there. Well, we are really a product of nature and nurture, basically, because there are things that are potentials in us, but will never become, realized, will not become active except we nurture them. And that was what I was saying before. Abuse can affect how you love, because then you probably would have gone to rejection. Like those who have had a rejection, issues. I have happened to meet young ladies that had a problem of rejection. Maybe during the pregnancy, their dad rejected it and all that kind of stuff. Their mom, somehow, whether you know it or not, whether you said it, the man spoke it out in the sense of when the child has been born, okay, or not. But if the man rejected the pregnancy, even while the baby is in the womb, it still has a way to affect the baby. There is a connection to that, okay, and I've had cases that we had to deal with based on that. So those who go to rejection, that's a natural thing, and it could affect them, because now it colors, how they see themselves, and then how they also receive love from some other person. Because every time they are suspecting, they're not sure, and to them in their mind they think they are not, they don't worth anything. That's why they are rejected, and this can cause a whole lot of myriad problems for that individual. But we are talking about keeping the fire of love burning. I say burning, yeah, burning. You've heard me say that you're worth so much. If you don't worth anything, Jesus wouldn't have died for you. You're a masterpiece of God's creation. Well, somebody say, Achamaka Chijindo, should I keep loving and the communication open when you keep loving and all you get is hurt, basically from friends? Now, part of healthy self-love is not to allow yourself to be hurt. Part of healthy self-love is not to allow yourself to be hurt, especially when you begin to realize that those people are not open to change. They're likely going to hurt you in that manner. Part of healthy self-love is to protect yourself. By instinct, we recoil, we move away from anything that will hurt us. So don't think that loving people simply means being foolish. There's something called foolishness. Okay, you've got to learn to protect yourself, and that doesn't mean creating enmity and malice and quarrel, but it means you deny them the opportunity to hurt you more and more. If they abuse you with words, then don't create a platform where they will speak those words again to you. Now, this is important. Yeah. So, okay. Well, I think I see Ogechi Rachel Chimeremeze. You're welcome. You're fine. Welcome. That's awesome. Nice to see you. Okay, so remember, we are still dealing with keeping the fire of love burning, and one of the things we've tried to look at today is to help you realize that love is a universal thing. It's at the core of human existence. Everything, human interactions is based on love. With that, there will be no interaction in the first place. Whether it is a business interaction, whether it's, yeah, the motive might be to, might be to do business. But the truth is this: the person you don't love, you hardly want to do business with the person. Well, would there be any element of love in my business associates? We just do business and go away. That's it. That's true. That's true. But surely you don't hate them. Because if you really hate them, you don't want to see them. He said, but the thing is that I just desperately need that thing, so I don't even care about who they were. Well, but that may begin the journey. At least you know you love yourself enough to break the barriers and overcome your fears or your perceptions, negative perceptions concerning that person. At least you know the person has something you need, and you went over to talk about, see how you can get it. Somehow, the one thing I want to close this episode with is this: everybody needs love. Everybody needs love. No wonder the Bible said, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son." God knew that it's only love that can heal mankind. It's only love that can cure human problems, the ills and the things that we have. Only love that can take that away. Everybody needs love. All right, somebody said here, let me take that question and I'll come back to that point, please. Just says, Daddy, please, that's Red Church said, please, someone told me that since 1 year now, she's finding it difficult to love her husband because of her hurt. What should she do? Forgive. That's what you should do. Forgive. The thing is that it's not that you don't love the man. It's just that you are unwilling to deal with the hurt. You're unwilling to forgive. If truly you don't love that man for 1 year, you would have walked away. Do you know that when people hurt us, deep down in us, we want that person to come back and remedy what they have done? Somehow, that remedy may be in the form of saying, I am sorry, acknowledging that they did you wrong, and ask for forgiveness. Do you know, you find out that if the person does something to you again, it becomes an act of love. And so basically what you should do is to forgive the person and then move on. And someone said, yeah, I think I have another question at Kate. Kate, you're welcome. He said, please, how can we filter or correct wrong impressions, information we have about people based on misinformation so that we can keep the fire of love? But no, that's powerful. That's powerful. How do we filter this? Well, I like to suggest this. When people are telling you something about somebody, especially negative, try and find out why they are saying what they say. Try and find out why they are saying that. What's their motive? You know what we call gossip. Do you know what it is? Gossip is not, do you really know that we talk about people every day? People talk about people every now and then. The problem is the motive of talking about them. Somebody wants to get something from you, so they start story by running another person, down and painting them black. And at the end of the day, they not tell you what they came for. But that was to open a door for them to present their request and all kind of stuff. So, again, one of the things you learn to do is to find out why they say what they are saying. And if you have opportunity to meet with the person, try and find out, engage the person, take your time, make observations. You probably have that. And, some sages will say, never allow people, to spend time speaking ill of people. to you, because it gives you a very terrible, bad impression about people, and it may not be true. And most impressions are never the truth. And sometimes it might be that what they are saying is true, but the person in question is acting that way because he too is also in problem, is in trouble. There are people that are doing what they are doing, not because that's the best they could have done or that's the way they wanted. Maybe they are also trapped and they don't know better. And so they behave that way because they didn't know better. So a meeting with them and you talk with them, you find out that there's a whole lot of goodness in them. Maybe the experience they had while growing up. Maybe somebody, got them into that mix. All of that kind of stuff. A friend from YouTube asked, this Shamaka Jindo, a friend from YouTube asked, how do I protect myself in order not to be hurt since this person happened to be my in-law? Wow. And that's Linda Ijoma, happened to be my in-law. Shamaka, share with this your friend. Your in-law, are you living with the in-law? Let's start with that first. He's the in-law. It's not your spouse. It's an in-law. And what is it that this in-law is doing? And so I think there's a little more complex thing on that question. But basically, as I said before, don't give the platform for it. If the person verbally abuses you, so create find another platform for which the person will not have that opportunity to talk to you and tell you all that. Somebody doesn't see you and say, hey, you fool, come here. You fool, come let me insult you today. There must be basis for what everything. And so deny that foundation, it will not be there. Yeah, Kate, love is a beautiful thing. Absolutely. 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 All right, I have another question here by Veronica. This is what it says, sir. You have mentioned about persons who committed suicide not having self-love. Please, what can help to keep the fire of self-love burning so much to keep away the devil from talking? Talking through all this kind of stuff into their head, talking them into taking their lives. Every act of murder, whether yourself or another person, sometimes is pushed by the devil. Remember what Jesus said. He's a murderer. He's been there from the beginning. And so when it overwhelms people, they see no more life. They see no more beauty in life. They see no more hope and all of that. And so they consider it at that point, let's just end it. Well, the whole issue of suicide has root in people focusing on themselves alone. Listen to this, please. Listen to this. Life without God in the middle of it is a problem. Why do I say so? God never made mankind for us to exist by ourselves without Him. That's what I mean. So the problem of some kind of atheism, where you live without God, is also the problem. Because once you know God, you have hope. No matter what happens, you want to talk to God because God is good. The whole lot of promises that He made, you might not have seen it now, but somehow hope keeps you alive. Hope keeps you moving, that sometime, someday, it's going to change. But when people become hopeless, they give up on life. And what brings them to that point is that lack of faith, lack of belief that there's God. And then again comes self-love, or what I call, come the issue of that love. Because if you think that God, if you believe God is, and that there is God, you probably would have known that he does not support you taking life, and He loves you. So things might go crazy and go wrong. You might not understand it. You might not know why it is happening. And God might not show up immediately to answer question. But because of your knowledge of who He is, you will keep going. You say, oh, I'm in a crazy situation. I don't think you can be in a worse situation than Job. You know, the Bible presents us with characters, you know, that beats all kinds of things that people will ever go through in life. You know, the wife said, man, curse God and die. In other words, commit suicide. He said, no, I'm not going to do it. I say a living dog is better than a dead lion. Because the other one is dead. What is left is decay. The other one has a future still. And tomorrow can be different from today. Yeah. So I would suggest, you know, a faith in God. And also have someone to talk to. Don't always, you know, when people do not have someone they can talk to, someone they can run to, someone they are confident that will listen to them, then they live on their own. And when things overwhelm them. But you see, that's again why love is so powerful. Because you see, love, apart from in existing for yourself, it also, the beauty of love is in sharing it with people. All right? And life is made such a way that is interaction, in our human interaction with others, that you see that beauty of love. So what happens here is that you see clearly in expressing love to other people, in interacting with other people, you find out that you can share your problems. And that's where these things come in. You know, again, this is one of the things, the beauty of African culture, I must say, is one of the beauty of African. You know, we have a support system. That's why we have very little rate of, we have a very low rate of suicide. Okay. So, again, yeah, I see Onyinye Gloria is watching. You're welcome. Oputa Odinakachi. Nice seeing you there. You're welcome. And, wow, that's it. You know, I like to say this as I close, because you know, dealing with this subject is so interesting, it's so powerful, it's something that, you know, we want to go and talk about, you know, now, and you know, to go on talking and explaining, because love is life, it's about life. You know, to love is to live, and to live is to love. In that thing that I said is the beauty of life. Remember, I had said everyone needs love. And maybe we'll explore that more in our next episode. And I want you to invite your friends, invite your family, invite your loved ones. Let them join us on Sunday at 5 p.m. We'll be here talking about love. And we're going to do that, you know. We'll do it again. We'll do it Sunday. We'll do it next Tuesday. We'll do it all through this period of, you know, Lovers Day. We'll talk about, we'll explore the show. And again, please, do write your comments, send me questions, and probably when I start, you know, on Sunday, I'll start by answering those questions, and then, you know, recognizing you and all of that, and that'll be a beautiful thing. Remember again,